Great, Lars. Thanks for having me back on.
I'm glad to have you back on. Tell me this. Do you think that that Dean Heller is going to sign that pledge to replace Mitch McConnell? And because McConnell's just been a failure, I think.
He's been an absolute failure, and the fact that he came out publicly and said he's going to support any Republican incumbent, irrespective of how bad of a representative they are, even if they don't support President Trump's America First agenda, shows what kind of lack of leadership he has. But no, Dean Heller is not going to sign that pledge. Of course not, because he's relying upon McConnell's super PAC money to try to keep him in the race.
So, what do we do about this? How do we get Nevadans to understand that if you want real change to happen in the U.S. Senate, that you're going to have to get some new leadership, just like they need new leadership over at the House? McConnell has got to go. And I don't think there's any sign that he's changing his tune, even though he must know that people are unhappy with this.
Well, you know, he's 0-2 now with new senators. With Flake gone, whoever comes in is going to be against him, and so is Moore. And when I beat Heller, there'll be three of us, let alone whoever else wins. But right now, Dean Heller, he's a never-Trumper. He came out and voted not to repeal Obamacare, even though he had promised he would. He came out and said he'd protect the funding for Planned Parenthood, and he came out and he said he wants to give citizenship to illegal immigrants. How many GOP voters in Nevada do you think are going to vote for a guy like that?
Nobody.
They know his record.
Well, I guess the ones who back Rhino Republicans, I'm talking to Danny Tarkanian, who we need to take out Dean Heller in Nevada, that kind of duplicity is exactly what Americans are sick and tired of. I think it's, in fact, I want to get your comment on Jeff Flake's decision not to run next year. I think it's because Flake knew that Americans are sick up to here with people who promise one thing and then get to D.C. and vote for something else.
Yeah, and that's exactly Dean Heller. Flake dropped out because he wasn't going to win, and he saw that.
Floods
he decided
are
he
happening
was
all
gonna,
over the country right now.
And
when disaster happens, you need your radio. The FCC asked Apple to turn on the FM chip in iPhones. When storms knock out power, radio can still get the word out. Apple said, we don't have FM.
He's more duplicit. He's going out and trying to act like he supports Donald Trump. In fact, he even said he voted for Donald Trump 2 weeks after I got in the race, when during the election time he stated very clearly he would not support Donald Trump. He said, I vehemently oppose our nominee. But once I got in the race and he saw that he was in trouble in the primary, he claims now he votes for him. Dean Heller's much more deceitful and deceiving, and that's why he's going to be a little bit more difficult to beat than Flake was.
Even though you think that it's very clear to Nevada Republicans, Nevada conservatives, that this just cannot continue, this situation.
The political activists that have watched what's gone on with Dean Heller, he's not going to get their votes. But the other people that don't follow politics that much, that just watch those 30-second ads, and many of them believe them, that's where Dean Heller is going to have a chance with. It's my responsibility to raise enough money so that we can get out the true message of what Dean Heller is like and what I am like. And if we do have those resources, I'm very confident we'll beat them.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Danny, you got to do it because you realize how much is getting held up right now. An awful lot of us, we hoped for the longest time, I say that we as conservatives hoped that we would get, a Republican House, a Republican Senate, a Republican president, all three at the same time so that we'd be able to pass legislation. And now we've got all three, and I got to ask that question this morning, Danny. I went to give a speech to a farm group, an ag group, and they're good people. They grow all kinds of different things. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are farmers, they're ranchers, and, they grow cattle, they grow hay, they grow grass. And these folks said, how come we can't get anything done? And I said, it's the leadership. It's nothing but. I mean, you have a few recalcitrant rhinos in both the House and the Senate, but the leadership is key to either getting a product delivered or letting it fall through.
Well, that certainly is true, and that's why I came out and said I will not vote to keep Mitch McConnell as majority leader. That's absolutely true. But it's also true when you have senators like Heller that don't have true conviction and stand by principle, and that will flip-flop based upon whatever voting constituency he's in front of. And that's what he did with Obamacare. For all of you listeners who just got your new premium increases, 40, 60%, you can thank Dean Heller for that.
Yeah, and that's what's happening right now. And we could have had a fix to this, but between Heller and John McCain and Jeff Flake and Lisa Murkowski from Alaska and Susan Collins, the usual group of rhinos, we're not going to get anything done. So, we might as well not have the majority at this point.
Well, we have a president that's at least courageous enough to stand by what he truly believes, and we'll try to get those things passed. He just needs a Senate and Congress that will do the same, and I hope that I can join them in 2 years, and we're going to get some things done.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a big concern for all of us. Danny, how can people help out your candidacy from around the country when they hear about this? Because they should know how critical it is to get every single real conservative vote we possibly can, back in the Senate and get rid of these rhinos.
You can go to TARKNV for Nevada.com, and on there we started a thing called 10 for TARK campaign. You just contribute $10 for each month left in the primary. That's 8 more months, a total of $80. If we can get 10,000 Trump supporters that want to get rid of these rhinos, we'll have enough money to educate the voters in Nevada and beat Dean Heller.
All right, so
TARKNV.com.
TARKNV.com. Now, Danny, tell me this. Did you watch Jeff Flake and what he had to say today as he was bashing on the president?
I only saw the news clips of it. I didn't see the whole thing.
See, I was watching it, and I just thought, this guy seems to be unhappy, and I understand I'd be unhappy, too, if I was being shown the door from one of the most exclusive clubs in the world, which is the U.S. Senate. But he's being shown the door because he doesn't seem to understand what the public wanted or what the public said last November, and he refuses, apparently, to adjust his message or his decision-making to what the public has asked for.
Yeah, absolutely. You're exactly right.
So, and yet he decides that the way to go out is to suggest that somehow he's got a moral compass because his moral compass caused him to stand up and say something about this president. Apparently his moral compass didn't have anything to say about Barack Obama or about Hillary Clinton or anything like that. But the minute Donald Trump gets in there and threatens that rhinos might be shown the door, then all of a sudden his moral compass has gone on high alert.
You know what bothers me the most is he has a moral compass about certain things Donald Trump says. Where is his moral compass about the things that President Obama was doing, his policy decisions that were destroying our country, destroying the middle class, making us a laughingstock of the world? Where is his moral compass there?
See, that's what I'm concerned with, because I'll tell you what, Danny, you and I are on the same page. If you don't like Donald Trump's style, that's fine. But if you said, what about Barack Obama running guns into a Mexican drug war? Yeah. What about Barack Obama using the IRS as a political tool against American citizens? What about, and you go right down that list, what about no military response to the service members who were murdered in Benghazi and left when you could have dispatched people because the Pentagon said it had resources available? What about all those? And apparently those didn't set off Jeff Flake's moral compass, but Donald Trump's, occasionally crude comments do.
That's exactly right. And the fact is the liberal media is bashing Trump and trying to make the whole country, or as much of them as they can, dislike him based upon his rhetoric when he's doing some great things policy-wise and just ignored all the destructive policy things President Obama did. You're exactly right.
Find his website at TARKNV.com. That's TARKNV.com. He is Danny Tarkanian, candidate for the United States Senate from the great state of Nevada to replace Dean Heller and get another rhino out of office and get a real conservative in who will vote the way the people who sent him there want him to vote. Your calls are welcome at 866-HEY-LARS. That's 866-439-5277. Emails go to talk@LarsLarson.com. When we come back, what are blockchains and how might they change how goods, like a lot of different goods, including diamonds, move around the world? You're listening to The Lars Larson Show.
The Lars Larson Show.